is Jim Brigham. I'm with the Dane County Deputy Sheriff's Association, and we're here today marching again. I think this is day 18. We've been here all 18 days, and we will continue to be here as long as it takes. Obviously, we have issues with all of the things that are occurring in this bill, not only the budget repair bill, but the current budget that's out. It's obviously unfair to labor, and we just think the bill goes too far.
Was your group, Deputies for Democracy, were you all in solidarity with the movement to not kick the protesters out inside?
Yes, actually we were. And our sheriff, Dave Mahoney, said publicly that we would not be part of that, and that we would also not be not allowing people in at the Capitol when it was basically on lockdown. And it was nice to see our sheriff come out and say that, because many of us were feeling that. We didn't want to be part of that. It was an effort to limit people's freedom of speech and their ability to assemble peacefully, because that's what we've seen these last 3 weeks. Nothing but peaceful, even though some networks are trying to portray it as something other than that. But even our people that we're talking to that have been working the event the entire time have said that they're quite amazed at how peaceful these protests have been. And it's a credit to the protesters and the people that are here just letting their voices be heard.
What do you mean this hurts labor?
Well, we think that, and I think it's very obvious, painfully obvious, that this really isn't about a budget. This is about destroying and silencing unions. And it seems to be a national coordinated effort if you look at everything across, especially the Midwest. Indiana, Ohio, there's movements to try to kill labor unions. And our governor is saying that that's not his intention. But if you read the bill, if you read the nuts and bolts of the budget repair bill, it makes it impossible to maintain a union because of all the new rules and regulations. One of the rules is that every year you must certify yourself, and we've never had to do that before. And the Wisconsin Employee Relations Commission has said that the over 2,000 unions in the state of Wisconsin, if they had to certify themselves once a year, it would be impossible for them to do that. So it appears he doesn't even seem to be listening to people that work for him. That it's going to be impossible to do that. And the bill lays all these hurdles out there for unions to try to maintain their status, and it's basically impossible to do so. So it's an attempt to crush your political enemies, because typically unions support Democratic candidates, not always. And even I would have to say that our union has been fairly split on its support of candidates, whether they're Democratic or Republican. And so it's just, if you look at the national campaign contributions, you see 10 of the top 10 campaign contributors, let me spit that out, the top 10 contributors in the nation, 7 of the top 10 are big business, the other 3 are unions. Well, if you can get rid of 30% of your competition, you're doing pretty good. So this is we think it's just a way to silence the unions' voices.
And at this point, protesters are being asked to leave tonight at 6 o'clock. Do you think that is a positive thing, to not have people staying in the Capitol?
I say personally I have to agree with the judge's ruling. I think that there has to be some type of order, but I think the Capitol should be cleared at night. That's my personal opinion. But you should not be restricting people's access during business hours. You should not be restricting anybody's access. And I think it's fairly clear, and I believe the judge's ruling stated this, that this should be open during business hours and should be open when anytime anything is in session, when there's a committee meeting, when the Supreme Court is in session. The building should be open for public access. People need to be able to access. With the open meetings laws that we have here in the state of Wisconsin, that was not happening. And there were some allegations that people weren't getting in during the governor's budget address, and it seemed like there were certainly an abundance of supporters in there, but there certainly were too many people of the opposite viewpoints. So,
have you ever seen anything like this at the Capitol before?
No.
And have you yourself ever been politically active before?
Oh, absolutely. Our association is very active, mostly local. County board races. We delve into a few state races, but mostly local races. But and we try to keep up on state races and see what's happening in the political arena in Wisconsin. But we think, basically for us it boils down to right and wrong. I know some people have made point that we were exempt along with the firefighters, but as most people know now, firefighters and us have been here every day, and it basically boils down with that is right or wrong. And if you're going to go after one union, you're coming after us, and we're going to stand with everybody.
And what happens next?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to have to see sort of like a stare down right now. But honestly, I've seen a lot of polls, and I know that polls can be skewed by the questions that are asked. But I've seen a lot of good polls, and I know that a lot of politicians live and die on the polls, and I can't help but think that the governor and some people around him are not looking at those going, well, maybe we're really not on the right track, but I'm not sure. And I think someone's going to have to give, and I hope those 14 Democrats stay in Illinois until we get some movement on this.
I mean, if they come into the state, they could potentially be arrested, no?
Personally, I don't believe that the resolution that they passed yesterday really merits any weight at all. They pass resolutions all the time congratulating the Green Bay Packers on winning the Super Bowl. It's a resolution. It's my understanding that the legislature will pass potential laws that are then signed by the governor. Well, as far as I know, the governor hasn't signed this resolution because it's not really a state law. So I think it's probably really not worth the paper it's written on.
Thank you very much.
You bet.